Okay, it's time for lunch. Today, KSHE Radio shares with you the cars.
Probably the very last thing on the planet that John Ulett, you man from KSHE, would want to be doing right now is talking on a microphone.
He is not.
So what's he doing? He's texting people.
No, I'm just turning my phone off.
Turn your cell phone off.
I did.
More important people to talk to. Yes.
John Ulett is...
Can you guys wait a minute?
Yeah, sure.
It's so nice to have you,
It might make
John.
an better interview, because look what I have nothing written down here. You know, I prep for these interviews, and I can't prep for you.
Well, we've known each other for so long.
And
I'd be insulted if you did.
Yeah, I know all the dirt.
So
That's a good point.
here's the. I just got to lay the land out right now, because John got hired by Ron.
That's right.
At KSHE 40 years
Yes.
ago.
40 years
And
ago.
Last month,
owes his
I guess.
career to Ron. Yes.
Well, you know, I do. I mean, I never minimize that.
But there's
I always
never
make sure
there's
I
never a
mention that.
percentage involved.
Truth be told, I've heard many of your Thanksgiving shows that you used to do on the morning show. And I've many times heard you actually thank me personally over the air.
Yeah.
For your Thanksgiving thanks things.
Yeah.
And that is so nice of you.
It
So
really
thoughtful
is.
of you.
You're gonna make me cry here because I started talking about it. I mean, I'm seriously, because it was the most seminal point of my career, that you made the effort to take some little Joe Blow dude you never even knew or heard of and give him a chance.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Let him finish. Let him finish. This is important.
And give him a chance, and not once, but twice, or maybe 3 times.
Turned it down.
I turned it down, and he insisted, no, I want this guy. And, you know, they say there's somebody out there looking out for you. I just had no idea it was somebody. I had no idea who it was. I mean, it was a total stranger, and it turned out to be a guy who really knew his stuff. And
the funny part, though, is why you turned it down. Because I eventually asked him. I mean, he turned it down.
He kept turning down
twice.
a job that everybody wanted.
Right.
Yes.
Third time I called him and said, John, you just have to tell me why you keep turning this job down. And what did you say?
Well, I told him, and I don't remember saying this, but Ron says, I told him because my mother didn't want me to take the job.
Yes.
I threw my mother under the bus. Yeah, I'm a good boy.
How old were you then?
I was, at the time, I was 19.
19.
I was
Okay.
19,
Well,
yeah.
that
But still had this voice.
But not that hair. In fact, the hair he had, we called him the Q-tip, because he was so skinny. And he had this giant fro.
Yeah, he did.
Black
Santana,
curly
the
hair.
Santana
Yeah.
hair.
Yes.
You
Or
had a fro.
Sib Hashim from Boston.
There
One of
you
the
go.
two. Yeah.
Well, we
Ron
could
had
go
a
down
fro,
that list.
and Ron had a mustache for 8 years, and I never saw Ron without his mustache. And one day he came, he had shaved half of it off, and I didn't notice it. I mean, it's like, you think, how could you not notice that? And I'm looking at him going, you look different.
Yeah.
I couldn't see what it was.
Did you shave one half off for a reason?
Just to see if she would
Just
notice.
to notice? Oh, okay.
To see if she actually looks at me.
Yeah. Because I've often, whenever I had a lot of heavy facial
which
hair,
was often.
I thought it would be funny if I just did one half and then talk to somebody like this for a while like this, and then turn around and say...
Now, for your 40th anniversary at KSHE last month, you did your show on the day that you were hired 40 years earlier from the very spot where the KSHE studios used to be, on that lot in front of the old Best Buy, right there. And thanks to John Seban from StLouisClassicRock.com, we located the actual very pinpointed the spot, which is an intersection of 2 roads.
Right, it is, yeah. And I had a feeling that might have been the exact spot, but we couldn't set up our broadcast site right there because for the obvious reason, so we moved it over a little bit. But I thought that might be the spot.
There it was, right there.
There it was.
And so many memories.
I know, even there was no building there while we were there a month ago, whatever it was, and there were no signs. It still brought emotions out in me,
me too.
Just being in that area, that spot, because there were so many great memories that happened there.
And now I'm going to cry.
I know.
Wait a minute. I'll tell you a memory that'll make you cry.
Make you bleed.
I don't know why. We spent one 4th of July, which is coming up, way back, and I guess it was Crestwood Plaza was shooting off fireworks across the street, and they were only orange and green. That's all they had.
Oh, I don't remember that. Wow.
So here's an orange.
That's why they went out of business.
Yeah. Then it was like the grand finale.
Now, John, can you do this? Over the years, you are the last man standing at KSHE, basically.
Yeah.
If you think about that, since way back then, 40 years, no one else has accomplished that. KSHE Radio will turn 50 next year. And amazingly, it is the number one station in St. Louis still.
Really?
There is no other market in America where the rock station from that age is even around, much less number one.
I want to ask you about that because here you are, an old man, and you have the beautiful Learn as your sidekick, who's decades younger.
Sure, yeah, she is. I know she was. Well, she's almost 30 years younger than me.
It's nearing kinkiness.
It is. Well, that's one of our parts of our slogan of our. It's part of the slogan of our show that we can't ever remember what is our slogan, but we know one thing for sure: the word awkward is in there.
But I mean, are you actually looking for a specific audience, or you just let whoever comes? Because you would think that you would relate to your age group and she would relate to her age group. But do they all come together that way?
Yeah, that's the dynamic that they were looking for. Because,
and that's the symbolism there. The KSHE does that.
Yeah,
go to a Rolling Stones concert and look at the age group.
Yeah, or even a Scorpions concert. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
Bands that you wouldn't think necessarily would transgender.
Yeah, right.
Not transgender, but trans.
Translate. Transcend the various ages.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Okay. So this is why he's on the radio, because he knows the words.
And it's something that should also, I think, be pointed out about him still being on the radio is not to view it in the sense that you're old and over the hill or washed up. No, you're a wealth of musical knowledge, and a lot of people think, your sports, and it's more like that. But when you put together your sets, even the KSHE Classic show, I mean, you've got it down. You've got it all in here. You know all the music, whereas somebody younger just doesn't have that.
That's weird because I still view him as the young upstart who doesn't know.
That's right. I mean,
can't get rid of that in my head.
I view myself that way still sometimes too. But she brings a young dynamic into the thing. The younger audience relate to her, and they like when she gives me trouble about something, and then the older audiences like when I give her trouble.
And they're so funny. And your tweets are always great. Seeing the photos you put on your tweets. She handles that.
She's good at that too. Yeah, she's very good at that.
Yeah, and I noticed she was really like producing the show. Like she was keeping everybody in line, and you were just like farting around.
You turned it into a tribute of Learn.
Yes.
You called him old twice and washed up once.
But then I told him he should have respect.
Okay.
Like
now let's do this though. Let's do this
elders,
like it's a video montage. Let's see how well you can do this. And I don't mean to embarrass you, but starting with JC, I guess. That was the first time you did mornings? Was it with JC?
No, actually, I started with Mark Close.
Start with Close.
He's getting a more important role.
No, he's checking his notes on this one.
I thought I turned it off. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure it's
fire. How do you work these things?
Hell? No wonder I need to learn every day.
Not here, yes.
do kind of like an audio montage. Well, we can make it video here because this is video. So the various people you worked with over the years at KSHE.
Okay, it gets a little cloudy in the middle, but I'll do my best. First, I started with Mark Close, and then he left when Emmis purchased Century, and that brought in fear, and everybody started scattering.
Except you, apparently.
Yeah, the first time I ever met with Jeff Smullian and Stuart Lane when they first came in, they took me to lunch, and I just knew right away that these guys could be trusted. And
well, do you know that we worked for Stuart Lane as well, and Jeff Smullian?
Oh, yes, in New York. That's right. Yeah.
We called him Stubby Shady Lane. That was the name we gave him over there. So then it was JC.
So then after he left. No, so Close left. Mm-hmm. And for 1 year, they put Ashley Knight in, and I worked with her for a year, and then JC came in. And then he was only there maybe like 2 years, 2.5 years, but they were dynamic 2.5 years. I mean, the morning show just...
Yeah, right.
I mean, we gave CamWex a run for their money. I mean, they were really, we got their attention. And then he left because of contractual issues, and then it's...
Such a politician.
Yeah. And then it starts getting a little bit murky.
There's Birdman.
Right after Corcoran left, they brought in the guys from Atlanta, and it was Rob Buttery, Steve Mitchell, and
wow,
we
weren't here.
No. Well, the one guy lasted 6 months. The next guy lasted 1 year, and then the third guy lasted, I think, 2 years. And then they were gone. Smash came in. Smash was in about 4 years, maybe 3 or 4 years. Then he left, and then there was a mishmash of me and Rich Dalton, me and Randy Raley, and then they landed on Bird, who's in Chicago at the Loop still to this day. And then they brought in Bob and Tom after Bird.
Mm-hmm.
Bob and Tom went at least a dozen years.
Oh, yeah, they were there forever. And you were even on that show.
Yeah,
you
we
did
tried
the local version of it.
Yeah, they tried to keep localize it with me for a while. They even came up with this computer program which opened the gaps in between the local breaks to make them longer, so they could continue to do their show. We'd record them in future time. We'd do our local breaks longer than what they would give all the other local stations.
Tricky. Wow.
Yeah, and then we'd join, and then the tricky part was finishing it at the end on time. But
I mean, look at that steady you. And the thing is, you're throwing a million other kinds of talents.
Yeah, right.
And do you get along? Yeah, apparently you did.
You
were able to get along. We've never had that experience. We just are with each
we get
other.
along with nobody,
and we don't get along. Yeah, but we've never had to work with somebody else throwing at us completely out of the blue.
Well, I got to be honest with you. There were times when I thought to myself, "Why don't you just let me pick who I want to work with?"
Exactly.
Why didn't they do that?
Chemistry
I was never consulted, to be honest with you, and so my mindset had to always be, whoever they bring in, I'm going to have to find a way to work with this person.
Yeah.
And for the most part, that happened. I mean, there were some times when things got a little dicey with a couple people, but I was always usually the last person to kind of say, "All right, yeah, this is over with." Other people had kind of thrown in I'll give you. Well, I don't want to mention names.
Oh no.
Give us initials.
Well, I'll give you. Okay, I mean, the Bird for a while.
Okay.
I mean, he was there maybe a year at the most. I don't even think he made it a year. But some of the guys that I worked with in the show, they struggled getting along with him, and I liked him. I thought the guy had talent, and we could really make it go. So I gave it as hard a shot as I could. And then at the end, there were some things that happened, and I thought, well, am I going to be with him, or am I going to be with all these other guys who are saying he's not the guy? So at some point, I had to make a decision.
Wow.
That's tough.
Not that I got him fired, because actually it was bringing in Bob and Tom that actually ended up finishing it off.
Anyone thinking about getting into radio should be taking notes right now. Because these are valuable pieces of information, getting along with people.
And really, it's just life,
Yeah, right.
It's like that in any job, but it's more magnified being the power of the microphone. But I mean, that picks up. Even if you're not saying it, the tone of your voice, I mean, all of that comes across, and people think that they can't see what's going on, but you can hear, and it's more powerful than seeing, actually.
It is.
That's why everyone can't understand why we're still married.
Exactly.
So I have a bet with our engineer, Rick Anthony, that this...
John will still be there.
Because I've always thought she was very pretty, Ronnie. I always
Listen,
did.
you were
Remember
one
the first time I saw Joy, and I said, "She is gorgeous. Who does she date?"
Yes,
and he said, "The boss." Never mind.
Okay.
He was one of.
He tried to
he was one of them.
Not get me a job there, or not, keep me there. I had to go around him to get the job.
I'm going to lose this bet with you, Rick. Anyway, we have a bet that this will go. He says it'll go over 12. We don't go over 12. So in 12 minutes. It's a 6 to 8 minute interview. He gave us 12.
Okay.
Anyway, you were one of them that bet when Joy and I got married at KSHE. You bet that our marriage wouldn't last a year.
I did.
You were one of them.
He's always putting words in his mouth.
I don't remember that.
No, it was his mom.
I don't remember.
Everybody had bets on how long our marriage would last. You bet it wouldn't last a year. Anyway.
It was your mom, John.
My mom said, "Say 12. Say 1 year."
Anyway, talking all the time.
In my attempt to keep it under 12, 50 years is coming up next year. Anything you can leak here? KSHE must be planning some great stuff.
Well, I'll tell you, we're trying hard, but it's not that easy. We have the museum
because everyone died. What?
Well,
it's a big event, and you got to do your
all
real
the
job.
acts. You call the acts. I'm sorry, we're retired. We're out of business.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that happened over 50 years, and trying to focus down on what we need to do, what we shouldn't do, who should be involved, who shouldn't be involved. I'm glad I'm not involved in those decisions. To be honest with you, I mean, it's going to be brutal. But and we really haven't in some periods been good stewards of stuff that went out on the air. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's just gone. Because when you're doing the job, you're just doing the job. You don't think that this might be good for a 50th anniversary someday.
Exactly.
And you're around, and we're in the 22nd year.
Get a hold of Kenny Hawkins. You know who Kenny Hawkins is?
Yes.
Kenny's got a massive library of KSHE programs.
So
there's something there.
They may consult him. Yeah.
Well. We have been asked to be involved, and we've always appreciated that Emmis, despite New York, that they still call us, and we're looking forward to it, and we're looking forward to celebrating with you, John.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
You're not going to wear that, are you?
I thought purple was neutral, and it went with everything, Joy.
You're so right.
You told him that. Thanks, John. Thanks for coming by today.
It's over? Oh, man, all right. I had fun. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Thanks to Abusi Michele Insurance, continuously working to provide the individual coverage you require.
Oh, she goes up top of her head.
Light it on fire.
They handle commercial, life, and health insurance. Contact Tina Michele at 314-832-6667.